ఓం శ్రీ గురుభ్యో నమః. అందరికీ నమస్కారం. See, one woman has asked the master like this: Master, I am feeling guilty for having parted with my partner. So please help me in this regard. I mean, to come over that feeling of guilt. Then the master told her, never think of the past. If you constantly think of the past, you not only destroy the present but also the future. See, things had to happen in a certain way, and they happened that way. I am only trying to tell you that don't repeat that pattern again. That's all. You see, if you think that it could have been avoided, or it could have been done, it could have been handled in another way to avoid that kind of separation, and it would have been avoided, all that. See, fundamentally you have to remember this thing, that is, things happen, they had to happen, and they happen in that way only because you feel that you can do something by doing the same thing otherwise or in another way. But they have been done or happened in a certain way as per the divine will. So, nothing is in your hands. You feel that you are in your hands and you can do or undo anything, but that is a wrong impression. You can neither do nor can resist of doing, from doing something which has to be done through you. So, things happen. If observe your own life, daily life, the book of life, your own life, and you observe, you have decided, for example, you have decided to spend the next holiday entirely with your family and children. You have already decided you want to spend only that way on that day and whatever may come. But that day you met with some kind of accident or a state where you cannot move from your bed. So, what can you do? You have decided to spend with family and children outside, but it has happened otherwise. You couldn't spend with them only at your home, lying on the bed. So, things happen. You should not feel guilty in any way, because your intention of doing things in a right way and in every possible positive way is laudable, but things happen otherwise, but not always, maybe sometimes or maybe always also. So, you are not the doer of any of your actions. It is like this: a leaf is there on the tree, a strong wind blows. When the leaf is separated from the tree, the leaf thinks in 1,001 ways. It could have been avoided that way or this way and all that. But since the separation is inevitable, it cannot resist the strong wind, and without any of its intention, it got separated and blown out of the tree. So, the point here is, when you understand that you are not the doer of your actions, the guilt, the feeling of guilt disappears. But when you feel that you are the doer and you could have done it otherwise in a better way and could have caused or avoided that kind of happening, then the feeling of guilt arises. Guilt is a shadow of the ego. So, it is in another form. The ego has got multifarious forms of ugliness. It asserts in many forms. So, you feel when guilty, when you are feeling guilty, remember that your ego is feeling that kind of guilt for having not done the things otherwise to avoid that situation. So, the point here is, the pertinent point here is, you are the instrument of the divine. You are a part of this totality, tremendous totality. You are a tiny part of this tremendous vastness, a tiny part. So, what can you do? Take, for example, a small screw in a big car thinks that he can avoid the accident which has happened. A tiny screw in a big car, what can it can do? It cannot do anything. It's only a tiny part of that big car, and the accident has to happen. It has happened. So, for instance, another example, every parent has got children. So, every parent wants to give his best to his children to make them happy and to make them wealthy and all that in life. Best education, best character, all that. But it may be otherwise, because what children chooses or with what potential they have been born, you do not know. So you build castles in air. The parent builds castles in air to give a concrete shape to the future of their children. But it is otherwise, because they can function, the children, they can function from their potentiality only. That potentiality is given by the divinity, by the divine. They have got a certain role to play in this cosmos, and with all the skills required to perform that role, they are born. In fact, they have come through you. So, nothing is in your hands. Realize this truth, and when you realize this, then the feeling of guilt disappears. But the feeling of guilt also arises because of certain ideal set forth by the people for themselves, or by the parents, or by the society. So, guilt is another kind of appearance of ego. It is not at all, feeling guilt is not spiritual. It has nothing to do with spirituality. It is only the play of ego, one's ego, that they can do anything with their own hands and potential, whereas the truth is that you are not the doer of any actions. So finally he said, I am not saying that you do not do it or repeat it again. The action for which you are feeling guilty now. I am telling you that you have not done that action at all. That is, this feeling, when it arises in you, then the guilt disappears instantly. Then joy envelops your being, because realization of this truth results in joy, peace, and bliss. So, thank you.